It's Friday, September 12th. In the headlines, the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party trade accusations over general election conduct. Students encouraged to utilize the buses provided by the Jamaica Urban Transit Company and the National Rural School Bus Program. In business news, Kintyre Holdings expands service offerings. Regionally, doubts raised about U.S. attack on vessel in Caribbean waters. And in sports, Usain Bolt named Ultimate Legend ahead of inaugural World Athletics Ultimate Championship. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. One week after Jamaicans voted in the nation's 19th general election since 1944, the opposition People's National Party, PNP, and the governing Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, are publicly at odds regarding aspects of the electoral process. The disagreement surfaced on Thursday when the PNP raised concerns during a mid-morning press conference.
We are going to have to, as a nation, look at the way in which public resources are used in support of political achievements in the election period. We're also concerned about the unprecedented scale of distribution of benefits, black tanks, fertilizer, building materials, cash, by both the state and the Jamaica Labour Party, and in some cases, it's very different to distinguish one from the other. And we have received numerous reports of widespread suppression of PNP votes across marginal constituencies, with reports of very large sums of money being paid. In particular, the process that results in hours-long waits at many polling stations by voters who turn out to vote, frustrating electors and causing many to leave without voting. And this factor is exacerbated by the law, which only gives 3 hours as a window to employees to be away from their workplace during working hours for voting, which is clearly inadequate in Jamaica's modern realities when you consider the time for transportation to get to a polling station from the workplace.
In response, the JLP held a press conference where party representatives dismissed the PNP's claims, describing the claims as baseless and unfounded.
Sour grapes is how I am tempted to describe this response coming out of the elections. The facts are that they lost. The people have expressed their will to continue with this government, which we are grateful for. And what I would advise, even though it's not my place so to do, the PNP to do, is to engage in their own process of self-reflection to determine why they fell short and what they may need to do to be an effective opposition over the next term. The PNP sought to cast doubt on the electoral process by calling for an independent inquiry into the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. The reality is that after every general election, there is a process of review that is automatic almost by the representatives on the Electoral Commission and the independent members. Obviously, for those who don't know, there are representatives from both political organizations, PNP and the JLP, who are present and who are part of the governance and implementation arrangements of our electoral process supported in law.
The exchange follows the JLP's victory in securing a third consecutive term in office, a development regarded as a significant milestone in Jamaica's recent political history. The Electoral Office of Jamaica has reported no major disruptions or irregularities. However, the PNP has indicated it may pursue legal review or request further examination of specific incidents. Students traveling from St. Thomas are being encouraged to make use of the school buses provided under the National Rural School Bus Program. The initiative, which was officially launched this week, has seen limited uptake, as reports indicate that many students are not yet utilizing the service.
That particular bus, when it stopped in Yalasby here or there, I observed only about 3 small children going on that bus. However, up until yesterday, day before yesterday morning, in Yalas Square, when the regular Yalas bus pulls up at this Yalas Square going into Kingston, there were a number of students, including especially Camperdown students, who the driver actually say, here's the bus, aboard the bus because you're not going to pay. I myself approach the students and say, take the bus, you're not going to pay on the bus. And they refuse to really take the bus.
One resident who identified himself as Mr. Lynch says it's a matter of utilizing the resources provided.
And appealing to the people in St. Thomas, Yellowfield, especially, take the buses. Because the buses coming on time to the children in school. And when they don't take it, they go to school late. This is not about paying for labor. This is about priority, neighborhood, and community.
All students will be able to travel free of cost on Jamaica Urban Transit Company buses, as well as units under the National Rural School Bus Program from September to October 2025. To access the service, students must present a valid school identification card or be dressed in their school uniform. The initiative, announced by Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport, Daryl Vaz, is aimed at reducing transportation costs for parents and guardians at the start of the academic year. The minister notes that the provision will apply to students at all levels, including tertiary institutions. A section of the Spanish Town bypass will be closed this weekend to allow for emergency infrastructure repairs. According to the National Works Agency, the closure will take effect from 6 p.m. on Saturday, September 13, until 11 p.m. on Sunday, September 14, and will impact the roadway between the roundabout at Jose Marti Technical High School and Michael Manley Drive. NWA Manager of Communication and Customer Services, Stephen Shaw, explains that the repairs are necessary following the failure of a culvert, which has affected the integrity of the roadway. Motorists traveling towards Old Harbour Road and surrounding areas via the Spanish Town bypass will be redirected along alternative routes during the closure. The alternative routes are as follows. Take a slight right off the bypass to continue along the main road toward Greendale Twickenham Park. Then left onto Michael Manley Drive by the JUTC Depot Road. And right to rejoin the Spanish Town bypass. Motorists traveling in the opposite direction toward Kingston will follow the reverse of this route. The NWA is urging all road users to exercise caution, follow posted signs, and adhere to instructions from flag personnel while traversing the area during the repair period. Senior citizens are being encouraged to remain active, engaged, and purposeful as Jamaica celebrates Senior Citizens Month. The month-long activities are being held under the theme Respect, Protect, Empower, Connect. One of those activities is the National Council for Senior Citizens Annual Aging Fair. This year, it was held at the Emancipation Park in Kingston. Executive Director of the NCSC, Cassandra Morrison, tells us more.
Last year we had up to 2,000 seniors, and this year we wanted to top that. It's really and truly an event to bring all the service providers face to face with older persons so that they, could express their needs, their desires, their experiences with their products, the issues they're having or not, what's good about their products and what is not, what can be improved, and, just to make sure that older people have access to the best services that they need.
More than 50 exhibitors from government agencies and private sector pitched their tent and invited the seniors to get answers to their questions, free services and refreshments.
Team from Southeast Regional Health Authority as well as the team from Ministry of Health and Wellness. We're offering different services so persons can get their blood pressure checked today, their GMR, which is the blood sugar, as well as their cholesterol can be checked today. And we're doing some survey just to hear from the older adults what's their take on the new logo for the program as well as the tagline for the program for older adults.
In keeping that theme this year, we are out here telling people about the services that are available so they can connect with quality caregivers so they can be cared for in the comfort of their homes. Policies are in place to ensure that they get safe care and care that meets evidence to ensure that they get the quality of care meet international and regional standards while they are aging in place.
So we're actually aging in place specialists. So what we do is we do home assessments and we do recommendations for how to stay safe and make your home more accessible. Today we're handing out flyers because most people that we see, we don't get to see them again. And so we're giving out flyers in the hopes that people will go home and make their homes a little bit safer. Everything from picking up those rugs that aren't glued down or taped down that you can slip and fall on, and adding grab bars so that those grab bars can give you some support going in and out of the shower as well as getting off of the toilet. We're also talking about adding additional lighting, and if nothing else, night lights for when you get up in the middle of the night, but replacing bulbs so that the lighting is bright enough and that when you're walking around your house you can see where you're walking and you're not tripping over anything.
What do you think about this kind of event? Do you think it's an event that is needed? Do you think it's making an impact?
I'm impressed. It is making I'm very impressed by what I see here, and it's something that moving forward we'd like to be a part of.
You think we're doing well as a country in terms of serving new persons who have worked to make the nation better?
Those who can afford it, because most of the things that the aged need cost, and not many people can afford it. And some people don't know either, even if they could go to the public places that offer the care. They are either packed and they have to wait for long hours, and some of them really don't have support. So our aging population, I'm not satisfied with it.
Okay, but something like this though helps, you think?
Of course it does help.
Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the stories shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. Tyrone Wilson, Chairman, President, and CEO of Kintyre Holdings, and part of the Visual Vibe leadership team, announced more than 40 indoor advertising locations across the island. Wilson noted that when we acquired Visual Vibe, it had no indoor presence. We introduced our first two initial screens, then diversified further by launching advertising backpacks in December 2024. Wilson continued, today with access to more than 40 indoor locations in supermarkets, retail outlets, lifestyle centers, and other high-traffic venues across Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, St. Anne, and St. James. Bank of Jamaica licensed foreign exchange and remittance provider Alliance Financial Services Limited has officially signed an agreement with RIA Money Transfer, a global leader in the cross-border money transfer industry and business segment of Euronet Worldwide Incorporated. Alliance, a Sagicor Jamaica Group subsidiary, will take advantage of RIA's industry-leading service portfolio across its network in Jamaica, thus introducing an additional international money transfer provider to its growing portfolio. At present, Alliance Financial Services operates 6 proprietary branches across the island in Kingston, Portmore, Maypen, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. It also supports a network of 96 sub-agent locations. These service points accommodate both in-branch and digital transactions, ensuring wide access to remittance services throughout Jamaica. For the trading period ending September 11, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 49,679,692 units traded, representing 84.20% of market sales volume. International hardware distributor Fosrich Company Limited with 2,709,211 units traded, representing 4.59% of market sales volume. Alternative energy provider Wigton Energy Limited shares with 1,333,568 units traded, representing 2.26% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On September 11, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $54.22 million purchased and US $56.71 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.67 per dollar, selling the US at $161.49 and buying the US at $159.82. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders 58 cents per transaction, with selling at $117.24 and buying at $116.66. The British pound yielded Forex traders $4.91 in profit, with selling at $219.03 and buying at $214.12. For our credit report tip of the day, stop letting your credit report sit idle. Turn it into a tool for action. Build a strategic portfolio with credit cards, personal loans, auto loans, and mortgages. Every small payment, every well-managed account positions you as a reliable borrower, opens doors to better rates, and sets the stage for long-term financial growth. And these benefits include an improved credit score, access to better rates, higher credit limits, financial flexibility. It demonstrates stability and it leverages opportunity. When you are building something from nothing and you're moving beyond financial resilience as a professional woman over the age of 45. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step toward your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, a United States military strike on a Venezuelan boat in Caribbean waters is stirring up controversy, with reports raising questions about the legality of the operation and where it took place. At least 11 alleged gang members were reportedly killed, but experts say unanswered questions are fueling speculation, including whether the incident occurred in Trinidad and Tobago's maritime space.
New debate is igniting over the United States' decision to deploy military force against a Venezuelan boat in Caribbean waters. It comes as the New York Times report has raised doubts about the legality and necessity of the operation, which led to the alleged deaths of 11 members of the Tren de Aragua gang. The vessel appeared to have altered course and even turned back before the attack began, possibly after its crew noticed a U.S. military aircraft monitoring them. Washington maintains the boat was transporting narcotics bound for the United States. Critics argue the operation represented a major departure from traditional anti-drug interdiction methods. It's why international relations expert Dr. Anthony Gonzalez is calling on Prime Minister Kamla Bissau-Bissessar to make public critical details surrounding the airstrike if the incident in fact occurred. Dr. Gonzalez said transparency is necessary given the sensitivity of the matter, particularly after Colombian President Gustavo Petro suggested that the strike, which reportedly killed 11 alleged members of the Tren de Aragua gang, may have taken place in Trinidad and Tobago's maritime space.
There's a lot of speculation taking place, and no one is sure exactly what happened. So I think, we are left wondering, if it took place here, if it took place outside. I think that is basically the problem. One has to properly establish that it took place in our waters.
Chief correspondent of El País in Bogota, Juan Diego Quesada, said he does not expect further escalation from Colombia's president.
Legally, it could be a crime, should be investigated. But I suspect that the good relationship between Donald Trump and your country will make the matter fall by the wayside.
Asked if he believed President Petro's comment could signal a fallout in relations between both countries, Quesada was doubtful.
I don't think so, because for Colombia, Trinidad and Tobago is not important, and they are not concerned in this local issue. There is a good relationship, but it's not the big deal for Colombia. Colombia is thinking in America, Venezuela, Ecuador, all these countries, but they don't want to have a bad relationship with Trinidad and Tobago.
He emphasized that while the controversy has sparked diplomatic questions, it is unlikely to develop into a prolonged regional dispute.
In Guyana, the government, in collaboration with Brazil, has begun moving toward the implementation of the International Road Transport Agreement, which will regulate the movement of passengers and cargo between the two countries. On Thursday, the Ministry of Home Affairs hosted a webinar in partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil and the Embassy of Brazil in Georgetown to provide stakeholders with critical guidance on the processes and requirements to operate under the new agreement. The session outlined step-by-step procedures for obtaining licenses, appointing legal representatives, and complying with customs and security protocols.
Now, there is an approval process for the application. Firstly, the ministry must review the documents. After these documents are reviewed, we will send them over to the Guyana Revenue Authority. And once all those documents are compliant, we will proceed with a security check on the applicant. Once the security check is clear, we will then proceed with issuing the original permission or the original license, which merely states that the company can legally operate in Guyana. And please note that only the registered buses will be licensed for international routes. And an important thing to note, for the additional license from the National Land Transport Agency, Guyanese companies wishing to obtain such a license must submit the original permission, which will be issued from our ministry, and this must be done within 120 days of the original permission. The permissions, both original and additional, the duration is only for 1 year. It expires on December 31st, and the permissions are non-transferable, meaning that, let's just say, for example, the original license is issued in October 2025. It will be valid up until December 2025. It will not roll over onto October 2026. And any false information and documents will result in the cancellation or denial of these permissions. Now, that is for the passenger aspect. For the cargo transport, the requirements are quite similar with a few differences. Of course, the legal representative, the tax identification number, the company registration, vehicle license, and the service details. This will include the routes, fleet schedules, vehicle specifications, meaning the description of the vehicles, and the types of goods expected to be transported.
Further afield, in the past 20 years, many Caribbean countries have partnered with China through the Belt and Road Initiative, a global development strategy aimed at enhancing connectivity and economic growth. China's growing influence in Latin America and the Caribbean is bringing new investment and development opportunities to the region. This was highlighted at a recent press conference held in Beijing, China. Our reporter Marlon Samuels was there, and he filed this report.
China's investment in Latin America and the Caribbean have supported infrastructure projects, created jobs, and helped promote economic development, an important boost for developing nations facing financial challenges.
Both China and the Caribbean are at a critical stage of their own development, and China is willing to continue to provide a tight package for the development of the Caribbean national economy and society. China has always been strategic and long-term.
In 2025, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced a $9 billion investment credit line specifically for Latin America and the Caribbean. Countries across Latin America and the Caribbean see these partnerships as opportunities to grow sustainably and reduce poverty.
The plan of China for Caribbean countries is simple. There are three major plans. First is we have to deepen our political mutual trust. Second, we have to improve our pragmatic cooperation in different areas. And the third, we have to enhance our people-to-people and cultural exchanges. With these three aspects, we can improve China and the Caribbean countries' relations.
The goal is that collaboration between China, Latin America, and Caribbean nations will address key development challenges, reduce poverty, and build resilient, sustainable communities. Since Jamaica joined the Belt and Road Initiative in 2019, the country has seen significant projects such as the North-South Highway and the construction of the Western Children's Hospital in St. James, the first of its kind in the Caribbean. These projects are part of China's broader efforts to improve Jamaica's infrastructure and public services. While partnerships with China presents new opportunities, ensuring transparency and local benefits remains critical for the long-term development of Latin America and the Caribbean.
In sports, Jamaican sprint icon Usain Bolt has been officially renamed the Ultimate Legend as anticipation builds for the inaugural World Athletics Ultimate Championship, set to take place in Budapest from September 11 to 13, 2026. The announcement, made by World Athletics, honors Bolt's unparalleled contribution to the sport, both on and off the track. Widely regarded as the greatest sprinter of all time, Bolt's legacy includes multiple world records, 19 senior global titles, and a series of unforgettable performances that captivated fans worldwide. Bolt, who retired in 2017, still holds the world records for both the 100 meters, 9.58 seconds, and 200 meters, 19.19 seconds, and remains one of the most recognizable figures in global sport. The Ultimate Championship aims to usher in a new era for track and field, promising a high-energy athlete-focused format designed to elevate the sport's global appeal, much like Bolt did throughout his extraordinary career. And that's it for the weekend news. Thank you so much for watching.